thought to yourself, can parasites impact my mental health? Hello, my successful and healthy earthlings. Mihaela Raguz here, naturopath and founder of the Natural Health Podcast. Today, I'm going to share with you all things parasites and mental health, the link between the two. You probably never thought there was a link, but there is. At the end of this episode, I'm going to give you an opportunity to join a health and success-oriented community by clicking below and joining a Natural Health newsletter. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in a business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with the biochemistry to achieve success and optimal health. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for What Would I Do? In today's episode of Natural Health Podcast, I discuss this week's question or questions I keep confidential and I read and answer them as if it was me, hence why it's called What Would I Do? I'm not here to cure, treat, or provide medical advice. I am here to educate and inform you so you will take steps towards optimal health. Please discuss any medical issues with your healthcare professional. Let's get into today's question. Today's question is an interesting one. Not many individuals have asked me these questions before, and I thought, such an interesting one, and I'm going to give it a different angle, so wait for it. The question is can parasites mess with my mental health? What an amazing question. And you know how much, I guess this question came from an individual that knows the effect of the gut-brain axis, right? If you've got parasites, it goes into your brain and can impact your brain. But can it affect your mental health? Can it make you depressed? Can it make you anxious? The essential answer is yes. But let's look into how, why. I'm going to talk about it one specific parasite, right? So this is talking about the US population. I'm not 100% statistics in Australia, but an estimate of 22% of the US population aged over 12 have been infected with toxoplasmosis, which is caused by the parasite Toxoplasma gondii, which is gondii, whatever you want to call it, Gondii. And this parasite comes through our lovely little pets called cats, right? So cats are the target host of this parasite. Any vertebrate can be infected and severe as an intermediate host, serve as an intermediate host, right? So that's how parasite works. They look for a host and then they spread, right? So for example, the parasite caused infected rodents to lose their the parasite caused infected rodents to lose their fear of cats, which is bad, right? Making them more likely to be eaten by its ultimate host. So it's kind of weird, or like it's crazy what parasites and what animals do overall. But essentially, us humans, we can become infected by being in contact with an infected cat, and it can shed this microscopic oocytes, which is the little eggs, through their waste. So the parasite's waste, they let go of these oocytes, and then we get infected. It's estimated that 60 million Americans are latently infected with this parasite, but most people don't show obvious symptoms because they have healthy immune systems, which is quite interesting, right? So if you had a healthy immune system, you might not get a parasite, which means you might not get depression, anxiety, and so forth, right? However, individuals who may have a compromised immune system may have issues. But why does it affect mental health and how, right? So there's a growing body of research suggests that parasites should be considered more than a threat, especially in mental health. And so there's a huge link. This is just an example that I wanted to talk to you about. The answer to your question is there's a huge link between the T. gondii and schizophrenia, mental health disorder, right? In 2012, paper from the journal Schizophrenia Research report that patients with schizophrenia are 2.7 times more likely to be infected with T. gondii than the general population, which is so interesting. So does that mean their immune system is low? Does that mean the parasite? Like there's so many things to pull out of this, right? So, and a study released last year suggested that parasites could be involved in 1/5 of schizophrenia cases. I know your question wasn't particular schizophrenia, but your question was with mental health, and schizophrenia is a mental health thing. And this is an example that I'm giving you of what a parasite can do. So essentially, it's the gut-brain axis that I keep talking about. Anything that affects our gut is going to impact our brain. Anything that impacts our brain can impact our gut. So this is just one example. I'm pretty sure there are more examples of parasites out there impacting our gut and our brain. our mental health overall. So the questions that I have for you is, what is your current mental health status like, right? So when did it get worse? So that you can say, for example, I remember 3 years ago I went to Thailand and it got really bad. Well, did you get food poisoning that time? Did you get bitten? Were you exposed to feral animals, feral cats? What has happened since then, right? What has happened since your mental health's gone bad, and what makes it better? What makes it worse? Think about last time you felt better. What made it better? Think last time you got really bad. What made it worse? What is your immune system like? What is your overall function of your whole system, your mental health, your immune system, your musculoskeletal system, reproductive system? How are they, and in what state are they? Have you been told what the root causes of your mental health? Have you figured that out? Have you run any tests? Have there been any heavy metals, any guts, any parasites that you have in your gut? Do you have gut issues like bloating, flatulence, all of these things? So many questions to ask yourself, right? But it's so interesting that you've already kind of made the link about being like, okay, my mental health may not be on point. Are parasites causing this? What a great link that you've already made. But now it's time to investigate and go deeper. So what would I do? The one thing that I would do is I would get tested, including antibodies tests for gondii, getting a gut microbiome test to find out, are there any other parasites? Is there a bacteria imbalance, microbiome imbalance, good compared to bad? Well, I don't even want to say good and bad, but is there an out of balance with the guts, bugs in your body? Are there parasites in your body? What is the gut function of your body, right? What's the mental health state in the moment? What's inflammation like? There's so many things to investigate and do, so many tests to look into. And if you already kind of think you might be parasites, well, the one thing that I would do is check out, do I have any? Are there any parasites? Do I have signs and symptoms of having parasites? Does it get worse around a full moon? Do I have an itchy anus? Do I look at my poo? What does my poo look like? Start looking at these things. Start being aware of your body. Start being aware of your mental health and what signs your body is giving you. And then talk to a healthcare professional. They're absolutely amazing, these healthcare professionals, and they know what they're doing. And the questions that they ask you, they put it all together. They have a whole mind map, and they come to the conclusion what may be the root cause of your mental health. So if that's the first thing that I would do, is get a good health professional to talk to, get these tests done to figure out, do you have parasite? Cross it out so you know 100% that that's not the issue. So there you have it. I hope that this shed some light to your question, and any questions, anyone else that may have a similar question. And I thought I'd give one little example about, infected cats. Yes, they're absolutely beautiful, and I love cats, don't get me wrong, but they may be the host of some parasites that make us go a little bit loopy. There you go. So if you love what you heard and you want to share this with someone, please feel free to share the Natural Health Podcast, hit the bell notification button and subscribe and follow. I think that's what you do on Spotify, and do what you got to do to enjoy the Natural Health Podcast. If you know someone who loves this episode, share it with them. And I have heard nothing but absolutely amazing feedback on the Natural Health Podcast newsletter, which is available if you hit the link below. Bonuses, specials sent straight into your inbox every Friday, and I ask nothing in return. I just want you to be healthy and share this with everyone. Thank you for joining us on Natural Health Podcast. And remember, the missing link between failure and success is your health. Content and information provided here is opinion of Mihaela Raguz and is for information purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. It is not intended to provide medical advice or take the place of medical advice or any current treatment you're undertaking. Consult your own medical professionals for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the Natural Health Podcast. It is advised that you consult your doctor or healthcare professional in relation to any health concerns you may be having. Mihaela Raguz does not take responsibility for any health consequences which occur from a person listening, viewing, or reading this content. And in no circumstances shall the Natural Podcast, Mihaela Raguz, any guest or contributor to the Natural Podcast, or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Mihaela Raguz be responsible for damages arising from the information provided on the Natural Podcast. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical conditions in either yourself or others. Please note, if you're taking prescription, do not stop your medication or start a new protocol, including but not limited to supplements, diet, lifestyle changes without consulting a doctor or healthcare professional. If you or any person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical advice. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something that you have read or heard on the Natural podcast or in any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. Neither Mihaela Raguz nor the publisher of this content takes responsibility for the possible health consequences of any person or persons reading or listening or following the information in the educational content.